What we're trying to do is to find a way for diaspora Jews to find their voice and use the influence that they have, however small it may be, on the region to fight for a different type of future.
Yachad did come as a breath of fresh air to me. It was a place where I could disagree with the opinions of people around me, but still feel like I was being respected and being given balanced information from various sources.
Yachad's got an absolutely essential role. It is a lens through which we can look at different sides of Israel from the conventional model that either we are shown through the community or we read about in the press.
Yachad prides itself on its exceptional educational work within our community. Through its events, its trips, its speakers, we look to raise the level of the debate and ensure that we have a knowledgeable and informed community.
Taking part in Yachad events and going on the Yachad student trip gave me incredible confidence to engage with the Board of Deputies, the Union of Jewish Students, and commit myself to Jewish communal life with the skills that I needed to talk about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and every other issue that comes from that.
All of these Arab towns and villages are closer to Efrat than Efrat is from one end to another. There are those who blame the settlements for being the obstacle for peace.
I think it's very important for all of us in the world we're living in at the moment not to live in an echo chamber, to listen to voices from all sides, to understand what makes people think and function in the way they do. We can't do that reading the newspapers or looking at social media. We can only do it when given the opportunity that Yachad gives you.
The justification is security. We have Israeli settlements in the heart of the city. We want to secure them. We need to separate settlers from Palestinians. So Palestinians can walk up until that point, and then they're not allowed to cross over. We're going to continue on that main road.
To be guided to the West Bank, to be guided to East Jerusalem, that is quite extraordinary. I don't know of anybody else who would provide the range of experiences that we have had on this trip.
I sat down with people who care and who are passionate, who see a bright future, and they know they're working from small beginnings. I didn't expect to see that.
I wanted to come on the Yachad trip. It made a huge difference to my perspective. I've seen things that absolutely would not have been able to see and that are hopeful and important. Real sparks of hope within a very difficult discourse.
It can feel sometimes like this is a bit of a lost cause.
Yachad is really good because it creates brilliant events with incredible speakers from all across the political spectrum, aiming to get plenty of people in a room to debate these really important issues with all the knowledge that they need to understand them.
It's important that Yachad is part of the mainstream of our community because we have a seat at the table when our community makes representations to the governments of the UK and of Israel and to the mainstream media.
We would find as a community that many of our students feel distant from the heart of the Jewish community. So what Yachad does, which is incredibly important, is it bonds students back into the Jewish community. That's really important for our future because those students will one day be the leaders of this community.
I fear, that the risk of letting Gaza and the West Bank fester in the way is not just a risk to Israel, it's a risk to the whole of the stability in the Middle East region.
We want our students to be able to go onto a university campus and say, as a supporter of Israel and as a Zionist, I also understand what you're talking about and I've also seen it for myself.
Yachad provides a space which is asking really uncomfortable questions but in a very comfortable environment.
People should support Yachad because it is empowering people to take their conversations about Zionism, about Israel and about the conflict into spaces like campuses, into the Israeli embassy, into people in government.
The new platform that Yachad provides creates the only neutral space in which this conversation can be held.
I especially think the UK government has felt more confident in being both proud of Israel, pro-Israel, but also critical of Israel. And Yachad's role in being a voice for the community and helping them to do that, I think, is vital.
I think it's a really important part of the relationship between the UK and Israel that there are such strong Jewish organisations and others like Yachad in the UK representing a really diverse range of views within the community, all supporting Israel but with their different perspectives and bringing different experience to it.
I believe, and it's been the long-standing position of the United Kingdom, that we need the two-state solution based on the parameters that are familiar through the Oslo Accord and everything else. But finding an authentic voice in the British Jewish community to articulate that and make clear that that remains very important to the community here is very important.
I welcome Yachad as providing a different perspective, an alternative voice that reflects the reality that, of course, within the Jewish community, there is a range of opinions.
The glimmers of hope that I wouldn't have seen if I stayed in my bubble looking at the beaches of Tel Aviv and the restaurant scene and or coming to religious Jerusalem and seeing people walking around in the streets who aren't from my world, I would have remained as oblivious to the other side of the story.
If you say that you honestly want there to be a stable future for the State of Israel, you have to be both idealistic and honest.
And that is why if Yachad did not exist, God would have to invent it.